Welcome to Wrestling and Everything, Coast to Coast, with your host, Buddy Sotelo Esquire, and wrestling's premier photographer, Mike Lano. And this time, we are not leaving the coast. We're staying firmly on the West Coast with our guest tonight. And Mike, would you like to introduce him?
Yep. I wanted to book our friend back on the show, Tony Fury, longtime West Coast champion caliber wrestler. And just what an awesome card that he's got coming up, along with Icebox. Grappler's Paradise, Saturday, August 9th, right in Alameda, California. That's a beautiful venue, right on the water. You have sort of a view of the Bay Bridge and San Francisco itself. It's over on the East Bay side, Alameda, where I lived for 40 years. And it is so star-studded. I was Icebox, Tony, and myself were part of the very first show. Tony, I forget how long ago it's been. I don't know, 15 years, I don't know, excuse me, maybe 20.
No,
for Oaktown Championship Wrestling.
Just over 20
which is the
years
forerunner.
Yeah, it was OW.
And now it's Stars. Yeah. Stars of Wrestling as a promotion. But to look at this card, and it just gets bigger and bigger. And I'll let you talk about who was added today. Two names, actually. One, a globally famous referee, and another global superstar, just left WWE. But the card is stacked. I haven't seen a card as stacked. And it's a beautiful venue, all kinds of championships. People from all over the world are talking about this. So with that, Tony Fury, Bay Area longtime resident and a wrestling historian and a friend of ours, friend of the show. Everybody knows him from his own promotion and the work he did in big time wrestling, etc. But tell us about the thought in putting a card of this magnitude together, and maybe go over the card. I mean, do you want me to go over the names, Tony, or I'll just throw it to you because you're the jefe, the boss on here.
Well, between Icebox, myself, and we have a third partner now, Mr. Louis Spores, who he came on board to help us out with this. We were able to get together with a lot of past names that have always been together with us in Bash shows. And so now, we took a bit of a break for like good maybe 3 years, possibly close to 4. And we came back revamped, and we did major hauls on everything from production to management. And now we have this really stacked card. The last show we did was amazing. And we have some of the same people coming back, plus some new ones. And we just owe it to our fans that have stuck with us for years. I mean, while we were gone, we had a lot of inquiries, people asking when we're going to come back. They missed us. They want us. Even though there's other promotions around here, they kept asking for us to keep coming back. And we heard them, and we're back. We're back.
Where else can you see a venue like that? I can only think of like the Boardwalk in New Jersey, where ECW had that pay-per-view that I shot at ringside, where Taz and I think it was Bam Bam Bigelow went through the canvas way before they pulled that thing in WWE.
It's a very intimate setting. Yeah, it's a very intimate setting, fan-friendly, and the only place you can get really up close and personal with the talent and the wrestlers around. So yeah.
So
let me just throw out. Let me throw out the rest of these names. And the thing that's unique about this is you have TNA Impact Stars, WWE past, NXT, and now an AEW person. But I'll just throw some of these names out.
And Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor as well. Wow. So here's what I have so far. This was a couple of weeks ago from you. The current TNA, right now TNA's pay-per-view is happening, but the current TNA X Division champion, the longest reigning X Division champion, Moose, the current TNA International champion, Steve Macklin, who that guy is double tough, and just I've been watching him.
AC Navarro, who's wrestling tonight for the in that 4-way tag team match with the tag team titles.
Wow. Part of First Class.
Correct. Yeah.
Casey Navarro, there we go. A member of TNA's Order 4 faction, multi-time TNA Knockouts champion, and she's been on Stars of Wrestling before. Tasha Steeles, was in one of the major factions there. But she has been a breath of fresh air, the Boricua badass from New York, and what an outstanding wrestler Tasha Steeles is on the female side of things, and women are really ruling the biz right now. And listen to this, making her debut, and correct me if any changes have occurred, Tony. AEW's Virtuosa, she was a virtuosa, and gosh, all over the place. NXT and TNA. I think she was one of the longest. She was a several time, but one of the longest TNA Knockouts champions, and also ROH Women's Champion Deonna Purrazzo, who's absolutely incredible. She is a serious grappler. She's headlined, Tony, as you know, AAA cards. I mean, main events in AAA.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's a great addition to our show. We also have Diamante from Ring of Honor coming in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Diamante's amazing. She was on their big pay-per-view just a week ago. New Japan, listen to this. Former WWE superstar under a different name, but he's been killing it in New Japan. Head trainer, I believe, at their dojo in California. Former Darren Young of WWE. Fred Rosser returns to Stars of Wrestling. NWA's 5-star athlete Ruthie J also returns, and Ray Lynn. So tell us, there's been some surprise additions, but the vacant women's championship for you guys is going to be a huge deal in and of itself, and with a special referee.
Yeah, we started, like I said, we came back and we revamped the roster, and we came back with we did all the titles to become vacant, and so we put in everybody vacant titles, and everybody's going to fight for the titles now. We're going to have brand new champions. Yeah, as you know, Jacob Fatu was our champion, our heavyweight champion, and now he's in bigger and better places now. So now we're going to crown a new champion at our show at Grappler's Paradise, and that's going to be between his brother, Journey Fatu, going up against, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be a triple threat, if not mistaken, versus JTG and Boyce LeGrand.
Wow. Bad Boy Boyce LeGrand and JTG.
Yes, a man who has been under the managerial tutelage of one Buddy Sotelo.
Yeah, you know all about him. You know, he definitely deserves it. He definitely deserves it. So he's earned it.
That'll be great. That'll be a great match. Yeah. So I mean, and I've been working recently to put on some just small cards, and the idea of putting on such a huge card like this. I mean, where do you guys even begin to book like such a huge match with so many wrestlers on it?
You know, we decided to come back, and like I said, we have our partner who is our benefactor in this, and we have, we've been doing shows for so many years now that a lot of the talent, they know us, they know we're good, and we provide the best matches along with the local talent who's really good out here in the Bay Area and the West Coast. We have some of the best independent wrestlers out here. You mix them up with the top wrestlers from the country, and we have nothing but the best matches around. You can't go wrong. And people, by them keep asking us to come back and put new shows on. That tells you, how good we're doing.
I should say JTG was part of Crime Time in WWE with the late Shad Gaspard, who was both of them were in that Stars of Wrestling locker room when I was still living in the Bay Area. And such great guys. And
such a tragedy about Shad.
But what a hero he was. He put his life ahead of his child and saved his child. And I had just saw him and introduced him at the LA Comic-Con. The two of them were there along with one of the stars of WOW for Dave McClain, but she's now, I can't think of her name, in NXT. She's a huge, very super strong MMA type character is what she's portraying. I'll look her up, but she was there along with Jeannie Bassan Hollywood, who we've had on this show many, many times, and she wanted me to give a shout out, especially JTG, who's like a heart and soul of Stars.
Oh, she's a real sweetheart. I love Jean.
She is, but I'm also talking about JTG, who's just an absolute pleasure, super talent, always always ready to go no matter where he is.
JTG is one of our favorite guys to bring in. He's got a huge following in the Bay Area, even though he's got it everywhere else where he goes because he's a great wrestler. He deserves everything he gets out here, and we keep bringing him back because he never lets us down, never lets the fans down, and he definitely deserves this title shot. So,
is he out of LA the way Shad was living? Not
I
far
believe
from
at the
here?
moment he is out of LA. Yes.
Good. How about the women's? We can go through the card as you know it so far because it's not until August 9th, Saturday, August 9th, correct?
Correct.
Yes. The women's championship, the participants and the special referee, if you can tell us who that is even.
Yeah, so we decided to have the women's. It's supposed to be scheduled to be Jordan Blue, who was the title holder before, to go up against Tasha Steelz now, if I'm mistaken. If I could be wrong, but check my notes here just to be safe. But also decided, since this was going to be for the women's title, what better person to have was the female referee from AEW, Ref Aubrey, to come in and officiate that to make sure everything gets called right down the middle. And it would be, be great to have her, on our show. She's a big name in wrestling right now. Every week she's on television, so I think that's going to help out decide a definite winner for this match.
And Diamante, who was in AEW, but of course currently in Ring of Honor, she's outstanding. The women that you have on this card are second to none. I mean, Deonna Purrazzo is just amazing, and she can go with anybody, whoever you put her in the ring with.
Yeah, so we have her. We have her coming in to just her debut. And we decided to put her up with one of our local women wrestlers here who's up and coming. She's been having a lot of wins throughout the California scene, is Mighty Myra. So we're going to put her up against her for her debut match out here in the West Coast in the Bay Area.
I should say the Stars of Wrestling has been breaking ground because I think her last match in California, this was a number of years ago, but it was for your Stars of Wrestling promotion, and she was in a death match that went all over the place. Shotzi Blackheart.
Yeah, we did Shotzi versus Beatrice Domino, I believe it was.
I think so. And do you remember, because a lot of people don't even know this, and I was telling Russ, well, Russ might have been watching, but she was on TV 20 every Saturday night, and she wasn't the lead host of the horror show, but she was in the cast and was always in all of the skits. And they would basically do an Elvira or Svengoolie type of show on local San Francisco, Northern California TV 20. And she was part of that. And she's wrestling.
She's a huge fan of the horror scene. And of course, I wouldn't be surprised that she was on there. Yeah.
So, but I think everybody really her name came to prominence on a global level from Stars of Wrestling. So this is a cannot miss card. And
well, not only did we have Shotzi on our card against Beatrice, but at the time we had her, they had, I believe, and I'm mistaken, there was the first women's Falls Count Anywhere match. That's what it was that we had. And, for those two women to do that was amazing back then.
It was an insane match. It was really kind of stole the show. And you had a ton of, greats, because if you look, you have consistently had, I don't know if we can mention him, but I'll mention some names that have been on when Oaktown turned into Stars of Wrestling. Bobby Lashley was on a ton of cards. Carlito was on a ton of cards. The Boogeyman on a ton of your shows, and just just always talent packed. And the cards, the matches I think the audience gets invested in every single match. And it really, as you say, I mean, you can touch the wrestlers. It's quite a bit different experience than paying $1,500 for some of the stuff that's going on now, and you don't get that kind of personal contact or interaction. And will you guys? I'm sure you guys will be having intermissions where people can go to vendor tables. That was always a wonderful aspect of Stars of Wrestling. And,
Yeah,
and
definitely will.
what is the former Darren Young from WWE, Fred Rosser? Uh, do we know? Do you know? Do you have some other matchups, or
Yeah,
we're waiting to hear who's going to be
yeah. So
paired up by their committee?
Fred Rosser will be competing up against another Bay Area wrestler who definitely earns a spot out here is Timo.
Wow.
Timo used to work with the Big Time Wrestling, and now he's wrestling with, working for us, and then he'd be competing versus him. So yeah.
I got to say this about Jacob Fatu, the most over guy in WWE, possibly in all of the business,
Sure is.
internationally. And it's, how many years did we see him? And I thought after his first year, I go, this guy's going to WWE. And we kept waiting and waiting because he was so talented. And I remember him either teaming or feuding with Jeff Cobb, who,
Yep.
What are they calling Jeff Cobb now? JC from Jeff Cobb. And what is his work last name? Mateo.
Mateos.
I think it's Mateo because he was living in San Mateo.
San Mateo, yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of the
that's where
reason.
they took it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
San Mateo, just south of San Francisco along.
Yeah, I believe I'm not mistaken, was it JC Mateos was pretty much, I think he was, from what I read before, he was APW's last student trained by the late Roland Alexander, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was in that last class, and
but I mean,
he also
Jeff
did a lot
Cobb,
of work.
the work that he did in New Japan.
Yeah.
But Jacob Fatu in MLW, top guy for years, and to have him proud to say that he worked on Stars of Wrestling and was a champion. And Jacob Fatu, absolutely, the guy's incredible now, and he.
Just having Jacob Fatu as our champion made it a lot more easier to book other wrestlers when we wanted to get them. I'll just give you an example for someone like Moose. When we first got in contact with Moose, the first thing he asked was, "Can I work with Jacob Fatu? I'll come in for whatever price. I want to work with Jacob Fatu." I said, "Absolutely, deal." And it was that easy.
Can you imagine what kind of a match that would be? That would be just.
We had it on our, and it was.
Did
great.
you really? Because I haven't lived up in my beloved.
Yeah, we have it on our YouTube page if you look, it's on there. So yeah, it's.
So how was that match? Was it?
That match was great. We had Cody Hall on the show, that same show. He came out and worked on for our show, and again, he worked with Moose as well, and that was a great match also. Cody Hall versus Moose on the following show. It was great. So,
what kind of a reaction does Tasha Steelz get? Because she really can veer between face, heel. She's so entertaining on TNA. I can only imagine how great she is on Stars of Wrestling.
She does an amazing job in the ring. She's really the ovation is great for her. She relates really well with the crowd. Her in-ring work speaks for herself. She's great, and she absolutely want to come back. She's actually the one that put us in contact with Casey Navarro. She asked, "Can you bring him in for him? Trust me, he's a good guy." And I go, "Absolutely, we'll bring him in." So
he might be part of the tag champions tonight. So
you never know. Yeah. So
you might have. Well, let's talk about star-studded.
Yeah.
That's why I had to have you on, Tony, and talk about this card because my eyes popped out of my head. Starting with Deonna Purrazzo and then Tasha and so many. And there's one person you haven't quite named yet, but that's okay. I don't know if you can name him recently off of WWE TV after contributing. I mean, that guy should really be, I think, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, no, you did. We already announced it. It's out there, and the response was absolutely bonkers. We as soon as we announced it, we put Carlito will be appearing, and our social media just went ballistic. So
how'd you get a hold of Carlito? How did you? Or did
he's been on a ton of. He's been on
our shows before, and as soon as he got, he called and we just asked him. We said, "Hey, this show on August 9th, you available?" He said, "Yeah," and done deal. He's in. So
because they're killing it. They have I forget the anniversary. Is it a 60th anniversary of World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico? That is his father.
Carlos Colon.
Total. Yeah,
I mean, his birthday was just a couple of days ago, if I'm not mistaken. Carlos Colon.
Yeah. And what a great legend. I mean, I got to see him team with Miguel Perez Sr. in the IWA in 1975, that Moskowitz was the champion of. That was the outlaw organization that was taking on both Vince McMahon Sr. and Sam Munchnick's NWA. So the Tri-WF, which is now WWE, and the NWA from 75 to 78. And I shot all of those shows for the promoter, Eddie Einhorn, the 3 outdoor stadium, Roosevelt Stadium. But, to now have Carlito, his son, who's, even more famous and relatable, and he's been a regular part for many shows of Stars of Wrestling. So just packed stellar. So kudos to you guys for having incredible talent. And this is a real melting pot for all of these different the top promotions, and it's all happening at Stars of Wrestling on the night at Alameda Point Gym. So Tony, we'll give this out a couple of times on social and where to purchase tickets. Where do we send people, or where do you send people?
Tickets are available at SOWTIX.com. StarsOfWrestlingTickets.com. So, right. And like I said, just from the announcement yesterday from Carlito, tickets moved really quick after that. So I would definitely encourage people to get their tickets quickly. So, because the last show they went out, and it looks like this one's heading that way too. So.
I see doors open at 4. Do you know the on Saturday, August 9th, the start time of the show?
Yeah. So what we did now a little differently on production is we started to do something similar to what TV tapings are, where we do a couple of what we like to call dark matches, even though it's not televised or anything, but it's just we do a couple of local young people that are starting out. We let them do a couple of matches beforehand just to get people excited and get for the show. And then right when it goes, start time at 5, and we do it early show, get people in and out and enjoy the rest of their weekend. And that's the way we're doing our thing now. And it seems to be working really, really well. So, yeah.
And that's Alameda Point Gym, 1101 Redline Avenue in Alameda, California, right on the water. So it's in a super safe, beautiful location where I lived for 40 years, just a little bit southwest of Oakland, but in a waterside community that's awesome. And how did you guys end up picking that venue? Because you guys I remember the show that Mike Modest was on from APW and Noah Japan and Iron, and with Woody Farmer and Woody's son Rex, etc. But you guys moved around venues, but this venue seems to be your home. How did you guys pick? Because it's a beautiful venue. I didn't even know it existed until the first Stars of Wrestling show I went to there.
So my partner Icebox, who obviously Robert, is he used to do the roller derby. They used to book that building.
But he's the only guy, to my knowledge, who has done both and been a big star in roller derby as part of the Bay Bombers, the most recent true incarnation, and wrestling itself, and was a wrestling manager in APW and other promotions.
Yeah, and I actually managed against him in APW, and he gave me a body slam and an avalanche. So I'm very well acquainted with.
He's a big dude. You can't push Icebox around. You can't push Tony Fury around, and they won a lot of great main events that I had the honor of shooting, and the crowd reaction for Tony and Icebox is tremendous. And I don't know if you guys are getting in the ring or just staying back.
No, we're working behind now. Icebox gets out there from time to time, does something, but I work behind the scenes a bit. But again, Icebox used to book that building for the roller derby league used to book it for the roller derby. So he knew about this building, and when we got it, at first I thought it was a little out, a little further out from the areas where I'm used to, but it turned into the home base right there. People really like that place, and it's like you said, it's on the island. It's on the base. It's right on the waterfront. It's a great view, plenty of parking. Just can't go wrong with that place. So
they're sort of by the Hornet, the battleship Hornets out there.
I've always said the most important thing in indie wrestling is not the fans and it's not the talent. It's the venue. I mean, you start with a venue and you work backwards, because as long as the venue's happy and wants you back next month or next time you want to do a show, that's the hardest part of indie wrestling, is getting that venue set. Once you got the venue set, you can do all the other things, pull all the people in and get the show to happen. but the venue is always the most difficult part.
Yeah, the people from the Alameda Point Gym, we gotta give special thanks to them because they've always supported us. They've always wanted us back, and it's a good thing. It helps that they're wrestling fans, some of them at times, and they really go all out to help us out, put on a great show for us. So
Yeah, I mean, finding a place that's happy, wants you back every month is huge, because when they don't want you back and you have to keep finding a different place every month, and it's when you're consistently at the same place, you can draw the same audience, and people start, learning that that's where they can find wrestling every month or every couple months, and that helps draw a crowd.
Well, who knows? If it'll be a good problem to have in the future. But if we outgrow that place, who knows? We may have to find something bigger. But right now that place is working just fine.
Well, again, it's Saturday, August 9th. It's in Northern California. Stars of Wrestling presents Grappler's Paradise. It's really fans' paradise. You can see just a ton of the absolute cream of the crop from all these different promotions at Alameda Point Gym. Doors open at 4, and then what's kind of cool is you guys get some free matches of great local Northern California younger talent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Again, let's see. Where are we sending people again? Stars of Wrestling, SOW.
STIX.com.
But the overall, what's the main social media?
Your main page is starsofwrestling.com, right?
Yes, starsofwrestling.com is our website. All the information is there. The link to the tickets is there. We're working on it right now. We're going to start adding, I believe the roster should be on there, and past alumni should be on there. And it's coming about. So it's coming about.
Okay, again, Moose, Steve Macklin.
Is Stars of Wrestling your own idea, Tony? Did it start with you, or I know Icebox was the first guy who did Oaktown, and it morphed into Stars of Wrestling.
It was the three of us.
It was three of us actually.
It was me, Tony, and Ice, and then they went and promoted all kinds of shows up and down, all over Northern California, maybe even further south, and then it just seemed, I forget the year that it morphed into Stars of Wrestling, but that's kind of when I think the debut happened at Alameda, and again, right on the water, so it looks like the Jersey Shore, but it's beautiful and it's clean, unlike the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, it became one of those things where, the name Oaktown Wrestling, we liked it, but it was one of those things where I don't know if anybody ever noticed, but we never did a show in Oakland. It was always in Alameda, and I was in Alameda, and we actually did one show in Oakland.
That was the first one. That was the first one right off of Hagenberger.
Yeah, well, we did the Moose Lodge. Our inaugural show was at the Moose. Yeah, and that's like the first show we did in Oakland. And after that, we didn't do anything in Oakland. It was always in Alameda. I think we might have did a joint show with Big Time in Vallejo, and we did one in Oakland at Oakland Tech. There was another co-promotion with Big Time Wrestling with the late Kirk White. Outside of that, all our shows were always in Alameda, and I just told I don't think it's right to be calling it Old Town Wrestling. It just doesn't make sense, and so we changed it and came up with Stars Wrestling and just kept it.
Well, that sounds global because it could be anywhere. You guys could be on tour, etc. Yeah, so it's a more universally recognizable, easy recognizable name if people don't know Oakland or Oaktown.
But there's definitely been a booking vacuum since Kirk White died and Roland died. I mean, APW isn't doing shows, BTW isn't doing shows. So it's great to see Stars Wrestling come into the vacuum. Oasis has done some stuff, obviously, and East Bay Pro is really filling in a lot of the gaps that
there's a lot of good promotions out there. Like I said, Big Time Wrestling, West Coast Pro, the Oasis, East Bay Pro, and we took a break and we just figured, there's so much wrestling out there. But honestly, like I said, everywhere we went, Icebox and myself, we went to any of the other shows. The first thing that people came up, hey, when are you guys coming back? When are you guys coming back? We miss you guys. I'm like, oh, well, we just take a bit of a break.
Well, you know what that is? It's because it's like a family atmosphere.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of these guys, Bobby Lashley and other independent shows around the country. but he made sure every single person got whatever they needed or wanted. Signatures. Same with Carlito. Same with Boogeyman and some of the other crime.
Mike, I mean, you've seen from the last 20 plus years that we've done shows. I mean, we've had a who's who of stars come. You know? I mean, we've had Goldust, you know, Bruce Beefcake, you know, we've had, you know, Gangrel, Boogeyman, everybody that's at what Chris Masters has been on the show, you know, just about everybody at one point.
Didn't you have Spanky? Like you didn't even announce him, and he just was Spanky Brian Kendrick, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Brian Kendrick.
He wasn't even announced, and here's this globally important wrestler.
Yeah. We've had Rikishi, you know, we've had, you know, Jacob Fatu now, and you know, and you know, it's a who's who of people that we've had on the shows, and then we continue to bring more people, you know, Moose now, and everybody that comes always gives us a good deal where they're just like, hey, you know, you guys want us back, we're coming back because, you know, we love you guys. I'm like, all right, great, you know, it's good to know.
That's the other thing. How many years since the Alameda move, I've said this is the most diverse locker room in all of wrestling. It truly is. Every race, creed, and it's great how everybody meshes, and you have all these great elements, and then you have, you know, the whole is even greater than the sum of all the incredible parts. I mean, if I was up there and not going through health issues, I would come just to see Deonna Purrazzo, who I've never seen live in person. Such an amazing athlete and champion in all these organizations, particularly TNA, where she just was killing it. And then her significant other, Steve Macklin, on this thing, and that guy was killing it, you know, everywhere he went in NXT, WWE, Ring of Honor. And that guy, if you want to talk believable, credible, that guy is a super badass.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, we had Daga on our shows.
Wow.
Yeah. We had Daga on the show before, you know, and he's willing to come back. Just now he's in Japan working for Noah, so, you know, it's a little hard, but, you know, at one point we're going to get him back. You know, at one point we booked Tessa Blanchard to come in. It was an unfortunate incident where, you know, the situation she was involved, we got like a really bad backlash from fans that just really upset because, like you said, we had a diverse locker room, but we also have a diverse fan base, and we got a really bad negative within like 10 minutes of us posting that Tessa was coming in, and we just couldn't guarantee her safety, and we just say, hey, I'm sorry.
What was going on there?
You may not want to elaborate. It's something that happened in TNA, and she was kind of disrespectful to a person of a different background, and she's had to pay for it because TNA let her go right when she was, you know, the head overall champion. She was holding the men's world championship that she beat Sami Callihan for, and she was let go at the time. And she's absolutely a great wrestler. So it's an unfortunate. It wasn't because of TNA or Stars of Wrestling. It was what, you know, she said, and it made its way out there. But she is.
But I'm glad she's back. I'm glad she's back, working her way back, and you know, righting the wrong, I guess you could say. But again, we at one point we had her booked, and she would have came in if it was possible. You know, we've had Mecha Wolf from AAA. He's been on our shows.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he you know, another great guy. As soon as he found out we're back, first person he texted was me and said, "Hey, I see you guys are back. Well, you know, whenever you're ready, I'm ready. I'm good. We'll work something out."
Let me ask you a serious question, Tony. What did you think the first time you heard that Hunter/WWE was purchasing AAA? I was there at the very start, riding around with Eddie Guerrero and Art Barr, Los Gringos Locos, when Antonio Pena took basically all of the great CMLL, EMLL talent to form AAA, and then Ron Skoler was the guy who purchased the AAA shows one by one with Queso cheese brand, you know, a huge global, and they were putting on the LA Sports Arena shows, and I was right there as Ron Skoler,
right? The Cheese Brothers, the Marquez Brothers.
Marquez, right?
Yeah.
Queso.
Yeah.
And they were selling out. But what did you think? Does it concern you that, you know, WWE is getting its claws? Like we have yet to see if they're creating television for AAA in the U.S. because they were, at least down here in L.A., we got to see them on cable down here. AAA had a show every week, and then it's been off for about 9 months. And I don't know if WWE is.
I was in Las Vegas when that happened during WrestleMania weekend, and I remember hearing the news. So when I heard it, I misunderstood what it said, and I assumed they made a deal with AAA. So I thought they were working together, a la TNA wrestling type of deal. So it wasn't until like the day of when I heard that they asked, where I saw the different headline and said that they acquired AAA, and I went, oh, they acquired it. That's different. And they made the announcement that day at Vegas and announced that they, so it doesn't concern me very much anymore. I know with the Vince deal beforehand, I think that would worry me a lot more because I go, oh no, this is not gonna be good. But with Hunter, I think he's got a better eye on it. I think he knows the value in that.
We're just not hearing anything, because they had, like, after the deal for the first couple of weeks, we'd see Vikingo, who was absolutely spectacular, front row and standing up, and a little bit, but now no talk.
I mean, it looks like they're going to take whoever they want from there and bring them over here, and put them on WWE TV. And I don't know if it's called rating their talent or anything, but they're definitely got their eye on certain people that they want to bring over.
I just hope they're consistent with that talent. The WWE has this habit of having the shiny new thing and getting all excited about it, and then 2 months later.
They're doing better. I was on another show last week talking about some of Triple H's failures, but that was because Vince was still there. So it might have been Vince ruining when they brought in Awesome Kong and renamed her Charisma, or Karma. And then they brought in the original very first Mystico, and he has to have the name change, and
I'm still mad about how they run the Bullet Club. I'm not happy about that. You get Gallows and Anderson. Well,
that's not the full Bullet Club, but those two guys, they kind of ruined, because you had that association with AJ Styles.
And the fact that they tried to kind of tease it that they were going to bring him type of deal, and they didn't. But again, Vince was still there at the time, so who knows? Vince doesn't like anything that's not his creation. But again, Hunter's a lot more level-headed and seems to be doing something on the right track. But everything seems to be good so far. I just hope they are able to get AAA out here more often, because I think that would be a better deal for them if they can come out this way.
Do you remember they brought one show where this was AAA in Berkeley, where Jake Roberts walked in with the guy who was responsible for getting him there on time, but instead they had to scratch him out of the main event, and he walked in after the main event was all over.
I was there that day. That was at the Henry J. Kaiser.
Yeah. But then they had no problems at the San Jose, the college. They had some AAA shows there.
Yeah.
Primarily, they were at the sports arena. And then at the very end, before they had that first pay-per-view, and Pena was upset that he was stuck using WCW and Bischoff's in-demand, on-demand pay-per-view distributor for When Worlds Collide. But Ron Skoler flew me out a week early to Chicago. We had a show at the UIC Pavilion where I got to honor Bob Luce, the longtime Chicago figurehead promoter for Vern Gagne's AWA and Dick the Bruiser's WWA. And then we had the show at the Felt Forum, it's now called the Theater at Madison Square Garden, where they just had that big NXT show. But that's where we honored Pedro Morales in ring. And so those are two separate AAA shows. But this card that you have on August 9th is every bit as good as we're talking AAA and other things. Diamante, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, because she was they didn't give her enough to do in AEW, which was a real shame. And I forget her tag partner when she came in. It was like during the pandemic, but Diamante was teamed with somebody who I thought is absolutely incredible from Lucha Underground. I can't think of her name now. But in AEW, she was paired, and we haven't seen much of her. So you can see her on August 9th at Stars of Wrestling, Diamante, So she's full time with Ring of Honor. So I guess she's totally done with AEW and with Ring of Honor. Well, excuse me, I misspoke because Tony Khan owns.
Yeah.
So I hope that's not what's going to happen with AAA. That was my initial thought. WWE buying AAA and Tony Khan kind of saving Ring of Honor, but then not making it the true Ring of Honor and not having an hour TV for it dedicated. So
he's got a lot of talent that belongs basically to AEW, but they're regulated down to just Ring of Honor status, like Diamante and I'm sorry,
Athena, where you got the champion Athena finally now, because she won that gauntlet, she's got a shot.
Yeah, more visibility for Ring of Honor, I think, would make it a more watched product. But I mean, the other thing too,
it always was.
Yeah.
And, it was so incredible. I mean, thank goodness Tony did buy it and save it, and there's that video library and stuff. But really, if you had, instead of making people pay another platform, because there's just too much. It's, a lot of shows on every night, and even on Sundays, even on the weekends, there's LFG, the training thing for WWE.
Yeah.
But
another dedicated hour to to Ring of Honor would definitely help.
Yeah, if you just have the free TV, but hey, if you're not seeing Diamante and you want to see her, come and see Aubrey Edwards. Come to Stars of Wrestling on August 9th, and then all of these other.
You may not be able to see them on Ring of Honor because they're not available, but you can see them on our show because they'll be there. So yeah.
And then enough about KC Navarro. What a great super junior he is. Very, very quick. He's in it, tag team now, but when he gets his own single matches every now and then on the TNA, really the guy is mind blowing. He's still super young too, which is awesome.
He's just starting out and he's great. He's obviously he's already been on NXT. I mean, that's how good he is. He's been on NXT. He's on TNA. He's on a major part of TNA for the titles. But just the fact that he's on NXT, that should tell you. And you can see him on our show on August 9th. He'll be here in the Bay Area.
I think that your Stars of Wrestling show embodies what's great about indie wrestling shows. Is that, you have people who are recently stars, so people recognize them, and you're not, and no offense to these guys because they're wonderful dudes, but I see matches where Ricky Morton is still getting out there in wrestling, and Robert Gibson, and come on, they're like 10 years older than I am,
and our thought process is also, we try to bring people who's rare to this area that don't normally come out this way. We changed our formula. We used to bring Boogeyman quite a bit. We used to bring Gangrel quite a bit. But Derek, I look at them more of as our original Stars of Wrestling people. But we also like bringing them in because for nostalgic purpose, they still get a great reaction. But we also like to bring people like Diamante, people like Tasha Steele, people that hardly ever come out to the West Coast, and now soon to be Deonna Purrazzo, and Steve Macklin. I don't think they've ever been out this way. So
you're not trotting out people who are so old.
Yeah.
That you just feel
these
bad.
are young. These are top at the top of their game. And I should say too, we talk about international stuff from the NWA again. Ruthie J.
Yeah.
So she's been at least on one Stars of Wrestling.
This will be her second time out here. Yeah, correct. And she's again, NWA. She wrestled for CCW out in Florida. She's an amazing talent. So she loved it out here the first time, and bringing her back just because the fans really, really had a thing for her out here, and I think she's gonna be great.
It sounds like you guys listen to a lot of the fan feedback.
Yeah, we do.
To bring people in that the fans want to see, and that's always great to have a promoter that listens to the fans and makes the effort to bring in the talent that they want to see on the card. So that's good and not easy to do. And
it's like you said, it's not just one from one little area. Like you said, we got people from New Japan, Ring of Honor, AEW, WWE, NXT,
NWA, and even Women of Wrestling. Wow.
Women of Wrestling. Yeah, we got Ray Lynn from Women of Wrestling. She's coming in, and I think we have her going up against Ruthie J, if I'm mistaken. So that's gonna be a good match.
That's gonna be a good match.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask you, as we're getting ready to wrap up a little bit, but You've been fantastic. Well, we had loved having you as a guest on the show before. It's been like over a year though since you've been a guest, so it's nice to have that. I would like to know if you could book any two wrestlers in history, any two wrestlers for a match for your main event, who would you book as your main event match?
You know, the one guy I would definitely, I know because I was friends with him. I rode with him. I definitely would. I know, and I'm pretty sure I would have been able to get him. I would have been Owen Hart. I rode with the man for quite a few years. I would have loved to have him on our show, to wrestle on our show, and I'm sure it would have been a great delight for him and for us to do it. So definitely Owen Hart, and also another person that I rode around with at times, and he was a good friend to me. It would be Eddie Guerrero.
I was gonna say Eddie Guerrero. I bet would have been
a super nice guy. My wife and I got married in Las Vegas on Halloween Havoc weekend. I made him a tape of his Japan matches because at the time he told me when I saw him in AAA, I told him I loved his matches from Japan. He asked me where I saw him. I go, well, I have a tape. And he goes, well, do you think you can make me a copy? I said, sure. And I made him a copy. He gave me his address. I mailed it to him. So the time we went to Vegas, he saw us out there and he goes, what are you guys doing out here? I said, oh, we just got married. He goes, stay right here. Went up to the locker room, came back, and gave us tickets to the pay-per-view as a wedding gift, and I still have those, and it was such a nice gesture, didn't know it was going to happen, didn't ask for him, but that's the type of guy he was, so missed that guy.
He was one of the nicest
Tony,
guys.
if you book that match, Tony, what's the finish?
You know what? I would like to let it go 30-minute draw. That's the way I would go. Yeah.
Nice. Did they ever meet in New Japan? Because I'm thinking that Eddie initially was there as Black Tiger, one of the Black Tigers. Owen had finally shed the mask. Benoit still had the Pegasus mask, but Owen had shed his. So I know they must have. Probably the only place I could think of they ever met would obviously be New Japan. Was that on one of your tapes that you gave him, or do you recall that match at all?
I don't think. No, I don't recall ever seeing the match between Owen and Eddie. I think it was just.
Never in a specific.
I think they missed each other when they were in Japan every time. I think they missed each other.
Because Art Barr, Eddie got Art Barr one tour, and there was nothing like riding around with Art and Eddie, and even Eddie as a little teeny kid when Gory. You remember how it worked in L.A. It was like August of '75, and Gory came in with Chavo. Now people know as Chavo Senior. And then they got Chavo over, and then they did all of these vignettes again from El Paso for Mondo, and months, like at least 3-4 months of vignettes. And then he came in and started killing it. And then they did the same, maybe 6 months later, 3 months of vignettes for Hector. But I have that famous shot that I took before they let the fans in the ring, Gory and his 4 sons, Eddie's just playing around. I can't remember the year that was. It wasn't 75, of course, but.
I'll tell you a quick story. When I was with Roland in APW, well, before it was APW, it was when AAA did one of their first shows at the San Jose Event Center. It was just a regular house show. Of course, Eddie and Art were there as the Gringos Locals. Roland asked me if I can get him in because I was working security that day, and I got Roland in there early, and along with I believe Modest and I can't remember who the other person was, but. Roland wanted me to go up to Antonio Pena, who I didn't even know. I knew who he was, but of course I didn't know who personally. But he wanted me to walk up to him and introduce Roland to him and tell him, hey, if you ever need anything, do a show, you can contact us. That way you can save money on your transfer, ring, rental, or whatever. So I did. I walked up to Antonio Pena, introduced Roland to him, talked to him in Spanish, and they shook hands and. Tony just gave him this thing where you're looking up and down, and said, okay, and walked away. And then Roland had this like big grin on his face afterwards. He goes, did you see the way he's looking at me? Did you see it? I think he spoke English. You think he's just acting like he doesn't? I go, well, there you go. You got your introduction. And, I thought it was a great moment that, I was there for that. So.
Roland was such a character, but Tony could probably see him coming in. Tony was never without Antonio Pena, without Chooch.
Correct. Yeah, it was right there. Yeah.
Number two. And who was Arturo Rivera was so amazing and such a life of the party who everybody loved. But that was the heel TV announcer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was so involved and such a genius at booking and stuff. And there was another wonderful person, but Eddie, at the top. And even well after he died, anytime I talked to Billy Graham, he would talk about, I think Eddie and Vicky didn't live that far from him.
That same show that happened on, since I was working security, there was another individual that was working security that day, which really caught my eye, because I was like, I know this guy. It was Manny Fernandez.
Oh yeah.
I think he lived in San Jose at the time.
Holy shit.
Right. And I looked at him, I go, "You're Manny Fernandez, aren't you?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, okay." Wearing the yellow staff shirt and working security there that night. And I go, "Okay, that's pretty cool. He's working security." All right. So yeah, I took a picture with him that day.
Was that first or second show in San Jose? Remember, just Sherry Martel. Sherry Martel only briefly managed Art and Eddie, and I seem to recall she might have. And I shot them in Tijuana and some other cities like Cancun. I don't think
she was on this one, because that's where I met Eddie and talked to him about the tape at that same show. But I believe that was the second show, and I think the Dinamitas was the main event, along with I think against Panther Santo and one other person. I can't remember.
Can you believe Blue Panther's still wrestling? That's pretty incredible.
It's crazy. Yeah. Hey, and he's still over.
I don't get why they don't like his son. That's something new in the last couple of months. It's really only a Mexico thing, where he gets heat. I don't know what the deal is. You would think it might be like one of the zillion Rayo de Jaliscos that would get some heat, even if it's a baby face. But Blue Panther Jr. getting heat, but Blue Panther Sr. just absolute. And he's back to wearing a mask.
Yeah. Yeah. He wears it and takes it off, and but hey, I guess he's just a lot more beloved than son is, I guess. So he's just still over.
That guy, and Atlantis, still another total. I love, and these lucha guys. I remember Super Porky, who maybe, was still wrestling, maybe when he shouldn't have been, but what a reaction the guy got. Yeah. As long as you're over, that's all that matters. And I love the way, particularly Japanese and Hispanic Mexico, all over Mexico, the audiences, they love and respect history and their legends. Not everybody in the United States.
The nostalgia works a lot in Japan and in Mexico, so. It works.
Yeah, but those guys are total legends. And in the sheer fact, Mexico created this dynasty where, like, every family member, like Porky, Brasso, like everybody in his family, they're all wrestlers in second, third, fourth generation. It's really beautiful thing to see now, my age, to see all these guys. Like, I shot the original Dr. Wagner, who was teaming with Angel Blanco in LA. They held our tag titles in '74. Angel Blanco and Dr. Wagner, and then to see Dr. Wagner Jr., and then El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., and so on. It really warms my heart. So
very generational.
Let's go out. And, guys, Stars of Wrestling, August 9th, Alameda Point Gym. It is a stacked card. It gets better and better and better now with Carlito and Aubrey Edwards.
Yeah, you just never know on our shows who else may show up at the last minute. That's the thing with our fans. They'll get a surprise one way or the other, because you just never know who'll show up. So
lots of extra surprises. Completely stacked card, starsofwrestling.com. What other social media does Stars of Wrestling have? Or yourself, Tony? Why don't you give out any and all?
Yeah, Stars of Wrestling, it's on all platforms. Stars of Wrestling Cali, and on Facebook, Instagram, X, and then my personal one for Twitter is or X. It's Real Tony Fury. Instagram is tfury19, and just give us a follow. TikTok as well. We're the same thing, Stars of Wrestling Cali on TikTok. So we're on all social media, and we got a great following on there. People are just we get more and more requests, more follows. We're making somewhat of an impact out there. So
well, that's fantastic. Awesome. We're looking forward to I'm looking forward to coming to your show on the 9th.
We'll see you there. Yeah.
And, hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to some of the wrestlers and maybe record it.
Yeah. And you'll see for yourself. You'll feel the atmosphere. It's totally different. I'm telling you, it's something.
It's a fun, it's beautiful show. all the fans are entertained. They walk away with smiles on their faces, which you don't often always see. Every time I've been to Stars of Wrestling, and in the interaction between the fans and even Tony and Icebox and other behind the scenes, they get out there and mingle with the people and ask, you just don't see that. So it's kind of a near perfect indie promotion with superstars. Like Deonna Purrazzo's not getting any TV time, and she's a 5-star, 10-star worker.
Looking
You're going to see her
forward to it.
Stars. The rest of, Tony has her sitting at home. I don't know how many months, and I'd give my eye teeth to see her. If healthy enough, I would like to come up. And this isn't an ad or anything. I feel strongly about this promotion because I've had so many wonderful times with my friends Ice and Tony, and
well, I'll represent you, Mike, and looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Thank you for being on the show this week.
Our next show after this, by the way, will be November 8th.
November the 8th.
Place, that'll be the next show, just so you know.
Hopefully we'll have you on before then, and we can promote
I'm
next
Tony,
show, too.
because I'm sure as great as this card is, that card will be great too. So
and
August 8th for this upcoming one. It's Saturday, folks.
Thank you so much for being on the show tonight, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And we'll see everybody next week. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Combate Kurosai, everybody.